Hello and welcome back. I'm Juno, and as we started on the last video, we are building this design system on top of the Blue Note WordPress theme, and I'm started using the file that WordPress made available for everybody on Figma community, but actually it was missing a lot of different things to build a very consistent design system. So to help us on doing that, there's a couple of things that I like to do also when we are building a design system. So one of the things that I want to start doing, because we're going to start using a lot, is a grid system. Okay, so the first thing that I will create here is a base. So, and we can just make this uppercase, and I can just add as a grid system. Okay, and so this one, if you think about it, is gonna be our starting point for a couple of different variables. So I want to use this as 1, and this is gonna be 2. Okay, and you're gonna understand in a little bit what I'm doing, because I'm building at least a 4-point grid system that we want to use that in our system in a more consistent way, right? Because this is what's gonna happen a lot. Many times whenever you're using this, what's gonna happen is that you have to use a different sizes, and this is going to help us and save us a lot of time to organize that. Okay, so I will just add at least a couple of numbers that I think is going to be useful and is going to make us very consistent through our design. Okay, so 9 is going to be after 32, 40. Let me just add 48. 64. 80. 14, 160. I think this is gonna be good enough for us. And after that, I want to use this to create a better system for us. Okay, so having this collection, now I want to jump into another collection, right? Like we have the typography settings, and we have here, so I will rename that just to have a very similar structure. Okay, so once we have that, I will create a new collection. So you have the grid system, and this one is gonna be spacing, so I want to rename that to be spacing. Okay, and once we have this one, we're gonna add a couple of different spacing, and this is none, which is 0. And this is really important now, because I want to make sure that I want to use only for width and height and gap. Okay, so whenever I start duplicating that, right, this is gonna be spacing 1, and now I want to link that to all the different sizes that we already created in our system, right? So you have font size, you have all these different sizes, but I want to create the grid for the number 1, duplicate, this is going to be number 2. Okay, so this is going to be make our life a little bit easier. 3, so I know this is a little bit tedious in the beginning, But I think for the first one I will build like that. The other teams probably I will make like another setup just to make like a faster our setup. I can just duplicate a couple of things from this system to another one. Usually is what I do to save a couple of like hours of work, right? But since I wanna like show you guys the whole process for this first one, I'm just building them one by one, okay? But later on, this is gonna make like a way easier for us in the next ones, okay? So 10, let me, let me duplicate, 11, I think it's 14, right? Like that we have, yeah, 14. So this is going to give us a lot of like a different options to create different size. Okay, it's almost done. 13 and 14. Okay, so we have all those different sizes. So why this is important? Let me show you why. Because right now, for example, let's go back to the styles and components. We have like this, for example, this is spacing. So we have a problem because we have like a 40 and 60 that we are using. So let me see on my grid. I think we don't have 60, but we have 40 for sure. So let me see. If we don't have 60, we could round it that, right? Because 60 by 4, it's gonna be fine. So like let me follow here. Let's go to the system that we created. Oops, why is not changing? Okay, here, and we don't have 60 here, right? So let's add 60 here. So means that this supposed to be 11, right? So let me make a quick fix. Okay, no, I have to increase this one. 14, 13, 12, 11. Okay, so we have 60, and on the spacing I want to duplicate this one extra. So this is gonna be the 15, this is 14, this is 13, this is 12, right? This is 11, right? 11, 12, 14. Okay, so I think now is having all those different sizes, right? Because if I go to the system, 11 is the 60, right? Okay, so means that whenever we have like those kind of components, instead of having like a random sizes, especially for spacing, I want to use like these variables that we created. So this is supposed to be 60, and this is supposed to be 40, right? So we have like a little bit more consistent in our like design, right? So if you see here on the size we are using 60, that is 11, and this like I'm using 60 as well, because this is the footer, so it's different things, right? Like they have different spacing. Here it's a little bit weird the way that they create it, because it's like a 60-60, but we can fix that. So here 66, and this is 46 for some reason. I'm not sure it's like that. Let me see if like if you see that maybe the home, let me just go to the home. I feel that they are almost the same, right? Like let me try to inspect that, right? Like, so if you see the padding information is all 60, right? Like padding is 60 pretty much for everything. So I think this is supposed to be 60 for everything, so it's going to be way easier to manage. So that's the problem of the design system, right? Like sometimes who created that, maybe like It's not intentional, but it's a little bit wrong, right? Like a couple things. Here's auto, 00. Okay. So for now, I think it's not a big deal, but this one also is using a fixed size. So that's why like the alignment is like that, okay? Because if we start like a hugging the content, right? Like you see, it's gonna be a little bit different. You see, like we have 17 space, but maybe we're supposed to use 16, right? So they're gonna have like a little bit more consistent between them. And here, let me see, 66. So like if I hug that, it's gonna be like a 55, but like at least like is following the space, or maybe that's the thing. If they want to have like some extra space, maybe it's gonna be something like that. But I think it's fine. We can just keep like a 0, right? So if you want to go to the spacing 0 here, I think we'll be good. Okay. By the way, I think I selected the wrong one, because this is supposed to be 11, and here supposed to be spacing 11. It's only because everything is living in the same file, so it's like makes a little bit confusing. But usually, because I'm using these tokens that I created, I supposed to use the spacing system here. Here the same thing, right? Like instead of using this grid system, we need to use the spacing. That's the most like a correct way to apply. Okay, cool. So this one is 0, everything. Here is 12 and 8. So let me see what we have. 8. Yes, and we have 12 here. So we can just use those spacing for us. Okay, so everything looks good. Everything looks very, very nice. Okay, good. So what we have here is very interesting, because the footer options for those ones, they have different alignment, right? Like because we could potentially make this like a footer, like a reduce the size, right? Like a, and if they are using this wrap system, right? Like they will wrap that content, but the only problem is because even if we wrap the content, they're not gonna wrap correctly, because this is coming, they have like a 2 different things here, right? So one thing is because this one, I think we can wrap, but they're gonna be wrapping something like that. But as you can see, like the jazz note goes down and this goes up, and and the problem of doing that is because Figma doesn't allow us to control this in a very good way. We cannot invert things like this. So I will take the easy approach, which is duplicating that for now, and later I can show you guys how to make, for example, a couple of things like this a little bit more advanced using variables, okay? But for now, to make our life a little bit easier, so I will just duplicate that. Let me just detach that for now. I think it's 390 we are using, or something like that. They're using 414. Okay, we can use that as a guide for us. That's what they are using as a example. So footer black mobile, and this is gonna be the footer black desktop, okay, for now. So if you see the spacing, right, like there's no spacing right now, because they are not using anything, but pretty much this will be way smaller, right? Like if it's not 16, right, like it's gonna be something close to that. And that's the thing, if this is like a 30 and this is like a using H3, right, means that the H3 for the typography supposed to be 30 here, right? For the narrow version should be 30. So means that this one I will convert as a component, but this one means that the typography should be narrow, and this is going to be already automatically reducing the size. But the space is 120 minus 3, right? So 120 minus 3, that's correct for this one, but I think there's something else that is making this a little bit smaller look like, right? Like a, or just like a visually, I think it's all good. I think it's just a visual thing. Okay, so what we have here is that the site name and the social menu, they are different things. So I cannot detach this really well. So even if we do that, right, as I mentioned to you guys, the only problem is because, as you can see, the site title and the social navigation, they're not gonna be like aligned correctly, right? Like because they supposed to be in the opposite sides. So we'll just remove that, and I will paste this here. So we're gonna have like the site title here, and I will just reduce that, remove this one. So this is actually what we have for now, and this I wanna make this fill and probably to the left, and this is what we have here. Okay, so as you can see, the alignment, they don't have any like a space for this navigation, right, for mobile. So what we could do in this case, because for the navigation itself, right, like the menu item, I have 12 here, right, on the menu level, menu item level. So what we can do to make more flexible is to remove this space, right, and we can add the space here. That could be something that we can edit in a way that we want, depending on the navigation that we want to build, right? So even like the space between them, if I want to use like I don't know, like a 4 or even 6, right? Like oops, I click it on the wrong one, or 8, right? They're gonna have like some space between them. It doesn't change, but visually here, this is our decision, right? Like here, I want to make this the space on the sides to be 0, right? And maybe this space, like we can just set on this one to be a little bit bigger, right? Like maybe 16, right? So it's gonna look like very similar. I think because they have two different like alignments, what we can do is creating another group again, another auto layout, as the same that we have the site title and the social media here. Is going to be the same group, but the only thing is because this specific space is going to be a little bit smaller, right? So if I want to calculate 60 between them, right? So we can just have like a variable that is setting 60 between them. Maybe here should be auto, right? Because this is gonna vary a lot depending on the size that we have. Here you can see that it's 22, and this one for the menu item is 22, so it's all good. So this one, the site title, is already like a linked correctly, right? Like for the site title, that is 22. This is 22 bold. That's the thing, right? Like they're using bold in some places, and other places they don't use bold. But because on the website they're not using, I'm not using right now. Okay, cool. So now we have like the footer for mobile. So this is what's actually we're gonna use. If I go to the templates and you wanna take a look on the menu here, right? Like so this is like what we have for the footer, but this is like the footer black mobile. Okay, so that's the pretty much the spacing that we have. I noticed that there's like an extra space here, right? Like, okay, so before doing this, what we can just do, I can just compare that using a PNG, and I paste here. Okay, so I will just use an image on top, and as you can see, maybe the space that we have here should be a little bit bigger. You see, maybe it's 20 and 20, right? Like, so this is going to align a little bit better with our goals right here. So let me see if reducing that, right, like it's not gonna change much, but I know that is 60 correctly. There's like maybe some extra padding they are using, right, like here look like they have some extra padding on this one, right, like that I'm not sure. Yeah, look like they have like some padding, or maybe here the padding in between here is like a 12. So let me see the space that I have here, 16. So if I have 12 here, let me see now if this is gonna solve the problem. It's almost that, but look like they have some extra padding on that jazzy notes, right? So on the jazzy notes that we have this, I can fill the container, but look like they have something on the bottom only, right? That maybe like on the bottom is like a pushing 4 pixel or something. So let me just compare now. Yeah, you see they have like a 4 pixel coming from the bottom. I don't know why, because this you maybe don't need all that. Oops, I deleted the wrong layer, but this one is the one that I want to delete now. Okay, I think it's all good for now. We can just use like that. It's gonna be good enough for our system that we have. Everything is filling. Okay, so now if I go to templates and I want to replace this one to the mobile one, boom, right, like you barely see any different. So the good thing is because it's working pretty good now, right? Like this is the only play for the black. Yeah, it's only the home page. Okay, so let's apply this. I will delete this one, okay, because we don't need. Now we have to apply that the same rules for the footer mobile for this one, okay. Okay, so once we have that, this is gonna be my desktop. I want to duplicate this one because I want to use the same structure that we have right here. I will just detach. I want to use the same size, 1440, 185, 1414, 185. Okay, so this is the same size that we have. Okay, there's like some minimum max position maybe that we set. Okay, so let me remove some. Okay, 185, right? Like that's the size that they want to use. Okay, so the thing is like we could use the same spacing that is 20, right? Like just to keep the consistency, because if like it's 20 for one, probably it's going to be 20 to the other one. Okay, so we have like this same structure that we can use. So this is what we want. This should supposed to be auto, right? Like in between them. So let me just reduce. The only thing is because this is like a fixed, we can just fill. That is gonna make like a easier for our lives. And this is going down, right? Like this is pretty much what we have right now. So the space for now is that. Okay, so let me check this one. This is using 40. I want to use auto, so it's distributing the content that we have, right? That's weird. Let me see one thing. Because if I have this, you see there's nothing related to bold actually here. And also like actually they have icons here that we don't even have there on the system, right? And once you navigate, let me close this one, to the other pages, you still have like those icons, right? Like and you see they even have like a small animation that we don't even have, but we can build that, okay? And we have this really nice header as well. Okay, let's go back. We have a lot of to do right now, so I'm not gonna apply the bold because they don't have the bold, right? But pretty much is that. So I think if you want to have like this little 4 pixel on the bottom, we can have. I'll create this as a component. I think this is what they really need for now, okay? And if we change the size, whatever, but I think it's 185 by default, right? The size, and we can just replace that, right? Like so, if I want to go here now, and instead of using that, I want to use the transparent. Oops, the name is the same. Wrong. This is like a mobile. Okay, perfect. So now I know which one I have to pick. So here, transparent, mobile, right? So if I just fill that, right, like so, usually I will recommend to use like those alignments and from the bottom, right, because it's gonna distribute correctly. But you see that this is something wrong on my component, that if I resize, right, like I wanna see that, right? So if you see the outline of my menu navigation here, this is not filling, right? Like a boom, now it's filling. Here as well, the social menu should be filling, right? And the site title and everything should be filling, okay? The only thing is because in this case, the social menu, I want to align to the left, right? And also, as you know, the navigation itself, I want to reduce to 0. So you see that everything is well aligned correctly. Now I think it's all good. So we can just go there. Okay, so there's something wrong because if I align, oops, this one is aligned to the wrong side. Oops, let me see what's going on here, because this is aligned to the left. If I have this one I want to reduce to 0, right? I think now is good. And this I want to feel, okay. This is feeling. Let's go. Yeah, perfect. You see? So now it's perfect. We go to the transparent mobile, right? This one's supposed to be here touching, and this like left and right and from the bottom. Okay, beautiful, right? We need one more that is going to be living here. So we go here, transparent mobile, right? Is not, oops, touching correctly, and now they are all good. Okay, so what's happening here? Okay, because they have already an auto layout on that, so it's all good, because actually this is gonna be way better for us later, that it's already a auto layout implemented right here. Okay, good. All right, we have that. I think we can also replace those ones, right? Like so let me take a look. I will just delete. We have this and we have that. So we already have the transparent desktop, so which means that this one I think is already using the one that we created. This one is not, it's already using perfect. So I think this is all good for now. That we have all this navigation in our system. Okay, good. So the header as well is already using all the headers that we created. Okay, perfect. And what we need to do, like, is now like a building some of those pages, right? Like, so we can start from this one, I think. And that's weird, right? Like, because this one, by the way, they have this block is a single post, but they didn't create it with the header, right? Like the header is here actually. I know. It's only because the header color is using black and they're supposed to use this background. Okay, perfect. You can just use, oops, other color that could be that. Oops, no. Jazzy, few. Okay, this one I think I'm supposed to change the color. Let me see. Selection colors, selection colors. Okay, I want to fix that. So this is the header, correct. And this is supposed to be the header, the same header. So just replace that one. Oops. Okay, there's something actually here on top. Okay. So now maybe just need to move that. Right. Okay. Okay, I want to understand what's going on here. I think maybe it's the layer that is outside. Okay, there's like a okay, so there's a couple of things that we have to fix here because there's like a okay, we're gonna get there to fix that. And actually we could even have that as a variable that can handle the color for us. I think for these and for those other ones, maybe the header will be more important for us because they have different things that we need. Okay, all right, so let's fix that for the header first, I think, because it's gonna be a little bit more important to do that. And I think this will help us also to clean up a couple of things. Oops, it's not selecting. This is the one that I want to select. And this, we can delete this component because it doesn't make sense the way it is. Okay, we have the hamburger menu. That is a horrible size, by the way. Okay, but I will just copy this one. I want to build another section that is going to be the iconography for us. I will make a very simple iconography system, by the way, because I don't want to spend a lot of time. I want to frame the selection, and this selection, or actually let me just do something different because I already want to create a frame that is 2424, and I will just place that inside this one. Okay, so once we have this, we can just align that hamburger navigation inside. Maybe let me just, okay, they're horrible, right? Like, okay, I think it's not a perfect alignment, but I think it's gonna work for us. Hamburger menu. So this is like the icon that we have, right? So let me just create this icon. And as we notice that here, probably those icons are, they're SVG actually, I think, right? So they're SVG, okay. So let me see if I can copy those SVG. I'm not sure if I can copy that, but I could. Yeah, you see, like it's good because they are like a very specific on this one. Okay, so let me see if I can just, I cannot select that, right? Like, let me select this specific SVG. Copy element. Let me see if we copy element. No. I think there's other way to copy this SVG. I totally forgot now. Copy element. I think maybe here, because I copied that. Yes, you see? I knew it. I did that before. I was like, okay, where's my icon? It's only because you have to select the SVG and you can copy the element. And now you have the Instagram. And you see that it's following 2424, which is perfect for us. So I want to just make this as a component, make this as a component, right? Actually, they are even using like this Twitter icon that is like a really old. I will just like place like this for now. This is gonna be Instagram, or maybe social / Instagram, and it's gonna be social / Twitter. For now it's Twitter, right? Like until we fix the icons. Okay, so they're using 16 16 16. I can just change just to have like the same space, or maybe actually use 24, right? Like just to have like an extra space. Let me delete this. So we have this navigation here, and what we have to do is pretty much duplicating that, right? Because let's say that we want to change that in the future. You want to make sure that you have this in a really easy way to work. Okay, so by the way, this is like having this like a background. We don't need those backgrounds, right? Like on the icons. I just wanted the pure SVG icons right now, and they have a black color. So if you want to use like these colors that we already have in our system, it's going to be better because it's going to be more consistent as well. So pretty much what we have for this. Okay, so it's going to be a really good experiment, right? Because I can just place that here, as you can see. So I have the hamburger menu. Okay, so you see that the desktop is 120, but the mobile size is 62, right? Like that's the huge difference they have here. So what we are gonna do, I will create another collection that is gonna call header. Okay, so once we have the header here, I want to make this very cool, because I want to first create a boolean, and I want to call hamburger icon. Oops. Icon, and we can display or not display that, right? And we can have like this. If we want to use the same structure that we have here, is wide, medium, and narrow, right? And we can have wide, medium, and narrow. So narrow we're gonna display. On the other ones we're not gonna display, right? So we have the menu, items that we want to display on the medium and the wide versions, right? Like here, and that's it, I think, right? Like that's the huge difference. Okay, and also we can have the height, right? So if I want to have like a height, so that's a thing like a for this one, the height is 120, right? Like we can just keep 120, and this is like 62 that I want to change for 64. Okay, just to keep a little bit more consistent what we are building. So once we have that, what we can do is making this, for example, now that we can select all that, we can just go here on the appearance and this hamburger icon, and this is the navigation, and I want to just add these menu items. Perfect. So what happened is that whenever I'm using the navigation now, right, and I want to change that to become, right, the header to be a narrow size, so the narrow is going to be already a mobile size for us, right? So there's one thing that I didn't select it, that is the height, right? So if I want to apply this variable as well, so we can just go to the height. Here is a 120. I want to remove those min and max, right? So we don't want to have that, because now that's the thing, is reducing to 64, right? For whenever we have. And maybe another thing that we have to consider is the padding space, right? Like, so maybe we can just add another number for padding. Okay. So the padding is 60 horizontal and vertical padding, right? Like, so we can have horizontal padding horizontal and padding vertical. Let me just duplicate vertical. Okay. To make this easier, so this is like the horizontal is 60, right? So we can just set this based on the spacing that we have, right? Like, so 60 is gonna be, so that's the thing about using this system, is gonna be 11 and 9. Okay, so let's go back. So this is gonna be spacing 11, spacing 11, and spacing 9, right? Like, here's the spacing 9, spacing 9, and space 9. Okay, so let me just go down here. Boom. So what I have to set is, like, instead of using this, we're gonna use like the horizontal, and I'm gonna use the vertical. Okay, so it means that now is 0, 0, right? Like right now. But let's say that I wanna make a very similar size, so that's 414, right? That's the size, and I wanna match the space, right? Like, so if you wanna match the space, you can pretty much see that this space supposed to be, I don't know, like 16 or maybe 20, right? Like here and 20 here. Okay, 20, 20. That I think is very similar to the other spacing, right? Like, that's why I was guessing that could be 20, right? For everything. So let's confirm what is the 20. 20 is number 6 spacing. So we can just go here and set that to number 6 spacing and number 6. Or maybe we can just make like a smaller, right? Like 4, right? So I think this is going to be the size. It's like a 14, right? Like a, if you want to check it out, that's going to be our outline space. So we don't need to have that, because only one header can handle the both sizes for us, and it's just about changing for medium, right? Like in this case, medium. We could set like a minimum width as well, but because I don't know right now the breakpoints, but I can add also the breakpoint sizes for us, and this is gonna already resize automatically for the size that we want to use that. Okay, but for now it's good enough, right? It's already combining that. And what we could do, right, like to make this also a little bit more optimized, we could just like combine all of them, right, as variants. So let me see here, because they changed a lot of things on this new interface. I need to find out where are those things, right? Like, because here, boom, boom, because it was easier to find that information. Oh, here, combine as variants. Oh my goodness. Okay, here, combine as variants. So this is going to be footer, right? So we just have only one single footer. This is going to be, okay, so I will just move that to the top. This is going to be device. So this is going to be desktop and mobile, or instead of desktop and mobile, wide and medium. That is the sizes, and narrow, right? That's what the name that we are using. And this could be just type, right? Like this is like a transparent, right? That's the name that we can use, transparent. This is going to be the transparent as well, and this is going to be the black or dark. You can just use, let's say that we want to change the name later, or the color, right? Like at least is the dark color, and this is like the transparent. Transparent, I think is too transparent, right? Like I think it's just duplicating this transparent. Okay, cool. So we have that. We can just keep that size the same, 185, 1440. Perfect. So this is pretty much working now. I can just remove that. So we have one header and one footer component that holds all the information that we need. And now I'm also building the iconography. I will just change the background color to match to this one. Whenever like we are building stuff now, right? Everything is connected, and you can just select the component correctly right here. Okay, so what happens here now is, because as you can see, it's using 64, but in this case, because I already deleted that, right, we can use the header, but the header is going to pull the narrow size, right? Like you don't need to do that, but if you select the whole area and you just set as narrow, it's gonna set as narrow. This one, I wanna just resize that manually, because this is the thing, right? Like okay, perfect, right? Cool. And this is the same, right? Like I just want to go to the components, header, and this one is going to be all narrow size. And so once we have that, right, you can just change the color to be, okay, so that's the thing. They're using this color. I just want to use that. And this one as well, I want to use that. Okay, because the hamburger color they have, okay, that's weird. Let me check what is going on here. They have the selection color. This one, I don't want to have a color here, right? Like so. Let me see what's happening on this component, because I just want to have one color, but here's like look like they're linking to different colors. So here that is the hamburger, and we have this one, the primary color, and here, oh, they're correct. That's weird, that is like a pulling that color, and this one supposed to be this. Yeah, okay, I don't know what happened. I will take a look at this. Okay, so to make it easier, I will just duplicate this, right, like and replace, and this one, and just remove that and make this as a narrow, right, like for everything that we have here. Header, okay, here, oops, here. Let me see if they can find narrow for everything. Okay, cool. This is the header. Cool, this is the header. And this, we can just switch, choose the header. But as you know, we want to make this as a narrow size, right? So this is supposed to be 1440, no, 1414. And this one, just using a few, and it's gonna adjust automatically for us, okay? So the header and footers are good to go now, I will say. They are like pretty much like in the size that we want. Before we move on, I already noticed we have size, which is like 180, right? Like for this hero, and once you go to mobile, right, it's 80, right? So if we check this in our system, the H1 is 80, right? So let me see this one. What is the size of this? It's 95, right? And this is 95. It's so weird that actually we don't even have that. So this is the H1, right? So maybe what we need to build, this is H1, okay, good. We need to build like two different sizes actually for those ones. So what I will recommend in this case is coming to the typography, right? And create a new category for that, right? So I will just duplicate that. I think it's already here, but I will move that to the top. And I will just add hero 1, like that. So this is gonna give us a little bit more flexibility because as you can see, for this is 180, which means that we don't even have that size, 180. So what we can do is creating that size, font size 180, right? Okay, so now we have that big size that we want to use. Here, let me just move that up. We have another size that is this 95. I will use, oops, what happened with my file? My file just reloaded. Okay, let me go back here. Let's go to the sizes. So I will build another one. Let me duplicate this one. There's going to be 96. Okay, because I want to make sure that we can have those sizes. That is 95 actually here. That is okay. So we have this and this, 180 and 96, that could fit in our typography system to be the 180. And when it's going to mobile, right, like this one is going to down to 80, right? So like this goes down to 80. So in between that, maybe 96, okay? And let's duplicate this, right? Like, so this is like a regular, okay, regular size, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think this is gonna be good. And now we can just duplicate this one, the hero 2. So the hero 2 is gonna be 68 when it's like a mobile. We don't have 68, so that's the problem. We need to create another one but I know that for this one is 95, right? That we're gonna use 96 here. We can use 80 maybe, and here is gonna reduce for the 68, right? Like because it's not even 60, it's 68. Okay, not a good size, right? Like a horrible sizing, but we can build that. It's only for this. So let me just duplicate this one. 68, right? Boom, boom. Move this up. Go to the typography. So this is gonna be 68. Okay. So now we have some decent sizes here. So I want to create this as a hero. As you know, hero 1. Okay. And this is gonna be the hero 2, right? Pretty much is the same. Hero 2, right? Okay, perfect. So we have the headings. I will just move the hero here. So we have all the settings already, but of course now I want to make sure that this is linked correctly, right, for the hero. So we have here hero 1 that's using this size. Here hero 1 is using this font weight, and hero 1 is using hero 1, come back here, is using this font size. As you know, we are doing all that because we want to make the text responsive, right? Because whenever we change, I want to make that change automatically. So this is hero 2 actually, and this is like a hero 2 that we can go here, the font weight, and this is hero 2 as well. Font size, hero 2, font size, boom. Okay, perfect. So we have that. This is supposed to be linked to the hero 2, and this is hero 2, right? Perfect. So if the typography is using wide, right, like for everything here, wide. Let me just select everything to be wide already. Wide and typography wide, right? Like everything's gonna be wide. Here I just wanna select for wide and wide, right? Like we know that everything's wide. So here the other ones, pretty much I wanna make sure that it's narrow and narrow, right? So I think this is supposed to work, right? Narrow and narrow. Okay, cool. So let me see now, because if I select this one and I link this to the hero 1, you don't see any difference because it's already using the correct size, right? Beautiful. So this is using the correct size. This is using the correct size, right? So we can test it out, because if I change the hero 2 for 180, it's going to change for 180, but it's because it's 68, everything is 68. Beautiful, right? Goes the same here. If I change this 80 to 180, it's going to break everything, but I know that it's 80, so look like everything is working pretty good, right? Okay, now it's hitting 1 hour again. So my idea is not to make like the videos too long to watch. So this is like another hour of work to build our system. So the next video I will jump in some components, things like this that we can use, and also like doing a small upgrade as well in our navigation here, right? Because actually our navigation, they use icons, right? Like but in this case, like in some places we don't use, some places we use icons, so we need to link that correctly. Okay, cool. I hope everybody enjoyed the second video of the series of building the Blue Note WordPress theme design system. Yeah, see you on the next video. Okay, thank you very much.